Born and raised in Bucyrus, Paul Pfeifer grew up on his family's dairy farm and now lives on a farm just a few miles down the road. As a young man, he attended the Ohio State University, where he earned both his undergraduate and his law degree. And then, after a stint as an assistant attorney general, he settled down and practiced law for 20 years. During that time, he also represented his friends and neighbors in the Ohio legislature, as he served in both the Ohio House and the Ohio Senate.
It was 1993 when he was first sworn in as Associate Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court, where for the past 23 years he has served with distinction. Now the senior associate on the court, Justice Pfeifer remains faithful to his principles as the day he arrived, solidly grounded in his belief of the sanctity of the constitutional rights, unwavering in his commitment to justice. We are pleased to present this brief tribute to his tenure on the court.
My name is Maureen OConnor. I'm Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Ohio. I've been very fortunate to have worked with Justice Pfeifer since I came to the court in January of 2003. Justice Pfeifer was one of the most welcoming of the justices. There's some of the things he brings to the table that I think are unique is he certainly has more institutional memory than any of us because he's been there the longest. Justice Pfeifer has a strong commitment to what he sees as doing justice. You always have to have somebody on the court that makes you think, and ultimately when everything is hashed out, said, written, etc., you disagree, and he can articulate in his dissenting opinions why he is disagreeing with the majority. And oftentimes he would come up with a solution to a case that was uniquely Paul, and it worked, and it was something we could all sign on to. It's been a great relationship. I can truly say that I will miss Paul on the court.
One measure of Justice Pfeifer's outstanding career in the court is the collection of poignant opinions and dissents he wrote during his tenure, notable for their clarity and wit, and for his trademark sensitivity to the plight of ordinary people. Here's a small sample. In Bennett v. Stanley, the court found that a property owner owes a greater duty of care to a child trespasser when the property has an attractive nuisance like a swimming pool. And that duty of care also applies to an adult who trespasses in an attempt to rescue the child.
Writing for the majority, Justice Pfeifer applied common sense to the law. Despite our societal changes, children are still children. They still learn through their curiosity. They still have developing senses of judgment. They still do not always appreciate danger. They still need protection by adults. Protecting children in a changing world requires the common law to adapt. Today, we make that change.
In Spiller v. Skybank, the majority ruled that a claim to recover a certificate of deposit from a bank was time-barred, because the statute allows banks to dispose of records after 6 years. The plaintiff discovered the certificates 30 years after the death of her friend who originally deposited the funds.
Justice Pfeiffer's pithy dissent cut to the heart of the matter. He said, not everyone sits and counts his or her money every day. Spiller has a certificate of deposit. The bank has nothing. The bank wins? I dissent.
In the 1993 Burgess decision, the court reinforced the discovery rule when it held that a woman who incurs cancer because she used a DES drug during pregnancy couldn't be bound by a statute of repose until the woman knew that she had an injury.
Justice Pfeifer wrote for the majority. Hardy is rooted not only in the right to remedy clause of the Ohio Constitution, but also in common sense. While Hardy dealt nominally with medical malpractice claims, its reasoning that the right to remedy clause requires a plaintiff's knowledge of her injury should be applied to all claims. It only makes sense that government cannot begin to regulate the time in which a person has to bring a claim for an injury until the potential claimant knows both that she has an injury and the cause thereof.
Before you embark on the next phase of your life, a number of us here at OAJ would like to say thank you, Justice Pfeifer, for your distinguished service on the court.
I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you, Justice Pfeifer, for your dissenting opinion in the Arbino versus Johnson & Johnson case. It was insightful and based upon the law rather than politics.
Thank you, Justice Pfeifer, for considering how your opinions would impact real human beings.
For your unwavering commitment to the benefits of a trial by jury. for your faithful defense of the right to trial by jury, and for always putting people over profits.
Justice Pfeifer, in the case of Ruther v. Kaiser, which I argued in front of the Supreme Court, the court upheld the statute of repose in medical negligence cases. Justice, you wrote the lone dissent in that case, and in that dissent you stated, quote, "Protecting our citizens' individual, fundamental constitutional rights from attack by the government is the proud duty of the American judiciary and a part of our oath. And on behalf of the citizens of the state of Ohio, thank you for upholding that constitutional right."
Thank you for your gracious and dignified conduct on the court.
For believing that all Ohioans should have access to our courts.
For applying justice fairly to all and not being influenced by special interests.
For holding true to the principles that guided our founders in writing the 7th Amendment of our Constitution. It was your dissent in Arbino that best captured the impact that tort reform has had on our precious rights. Words that resonate with us trial lawyers who make our living helping people.
In his dissent on Arbino, Justice Pfeifer wrote, "Today we learn that the phrase judicial restraint was code for the General Assembly can do no wrong when it comes to tort reform. Today is a glorious day for the backers of judicial restraint. Today is a day of fulfilled expectations for insurance companies and manufacturers of defective, dangerous, or toxic products that cause injury to someone in Ohio. But this is a sad day for our Constitution and this court. And this is a tragic day for Ohioans who no longer have any assurance that their Constitution protects the rights they cherish. I dissent." Powerful words from an extraordinary justice. We will miss you, Paul Pfeifer.